Lots of other things have happened on the issues of energy, consumer protections. I won't go into those, but especially on the issue of energy, moving energy forward, investing in efficiency, especially for small businesses and industrial businesses in Maine, something I feel very good about, and again, something we were able to do in a bipartisan way. The Utilities Committee used to be in the Maine legislature the most boring committee, dealing with sewer and water and things that nobody wanted to have anything to do with. And as Speaker of the House, when I went to appoint committees, more legislators requested being on the Utilities Committee, being involved in energy issues, than any other committee in the entire legislature. I think that's an indication of where our state is, our interest in positioning Maine in a positive place moving forward on energy issues. So I won't go on, but I'm happy to answer any questions briefly on that. So where we are today, we're attempting to adjourn. We passed last year a $150 million bond package, some of which is going to already on the ballot. But coming into this legislative session, we heard loudly from the construction industry about high unemployment rates. We know that people are out of work and our economy continues to need a jump start. At the same time, we have all been driving this spring on Maine roads. We have heard about an Aroostook County rail situation that is incredibly tenuous. With the abandonment of 240 miles of track, we potentially have a situation where businesses in Aroostook County, paper companies, McCain Foods, will not be able to move product to the rest of the country on a rail system that they've used for a long time. So all these issues kind of started to come together, and Democratic leadership and the governor each put out separate bond packages, transportation, primarily focused transportation, jobs bond packages. 2 nights ago, the Appropriations Committee voted out an $85 million package. Again, focused on transportation. The only non-transportation item in there is a dental school and rural clinics to try to move dental access forward in this state. So we are here today. We are attempting to pass a bond package. Bonds require a 2/3 vote of the legislature, meaning the majority party cannot get it done alone. It has to be something both sides come together on and figure out how to get done. I won't go into all the politics around it, but it is very tight. At this point, I would say it's 50-50 about whether or not we're going to pass it. So if you know a legislator, especially in the Republican Party, I encourage you to call them in the next couple hours. For the city of Portland, this means $7 million to build the mega-berth port just out there, which I think will have a tremendous economic impact on the city. Not just this city, but I think an economic impact on sales tax revenue, which helps our entire state, on a lot of other regions of the state where cruise ship visitors come visit. And we've heard about construction companies hoping to do cruise ship renovation at that same place during the off-season. I think it's a win-win. So we are hopeful it's going to be successful today. I will say there's been some comments about, is Maine way in debt? Is this just adding more debt to the big pile of debt that the state currently has? The reality is Maine is one of the most conservative states in the country when it comes to borrowing. We borrow on a 10-year basis as opposed to a 20 or 30-year basis like many other states. We're 33rd in the country in per capita debt, meaning that we bond less than most other states, or at least the majority of other states. Even with this $85 million package, if it was to pass, Maine will retire $5 million more in debt this year than we will actually be bonding. So there are a variety of reasons why the state can afford this, and personally I think we cannot afford not to do it. I think we are in a place where we are starting to see some positive signs coming out of this recession. But we know, especially in the construction industry, a lot of people are still not working. So this money going to our economy this summer, I think, would be positive. So that's my big political pitch. I know I've been talking to Godfrey. He's been burning up the phone lines. And we think that there is a chance to get some moderate Republicans to vote for it on the final vote. So I'm hopeful. We will see what happens. So before I turn it over to my mother, and I'm sorry I have to scoot out of here early because we are literally going into session as soon as I get there. It's not just an engagement. It's literally the entire House will be waiting for me. So I don't want to be late. But I will just say that I have had 8 years in the Maine legislature. I think it's one of the most It's an institution I think everybody in this room should feel very proud of. It's a productive place where both parties come together. 80% of the work done in committees is done on a unanimous basis, not just a bipartisan basis, but a unanimous basis. There's obviously lots of issues that flare up, and those are the ones you read about in the newspaper. But I think we have a very productive political system that we can feel very proud of. I think when I watch what my mom has had to deal with and some of the Republicans down in Washington, that we're in a place of real chaos, not just Republicans, Democrats, both sides. It's a real point of frustration with how things have broken down. I have worked closely with my colleague Josh Tardy, with Kevin Ray in the Senate, Republican leaders who really come together with those of us on my side of the aisle and say, we just want to get the job done. We don't want to be obstructionists. Both sides have something to add, and we can move the state forward by working together. Sometimes I see in Maine glimmers of that going away, and I worry about this next election. And so I just encourage you, as you make decisions about people to send to the legislature, whether it's the next governor, which I think is a tremendously big and important decision, or your state legislator, encourage them to be a part of the process and not obstruct, whether they're the most liberal Democrat or the most conservative Republican. Those extremes, when they go to Augusta to obstruct, it doesn't move our state forward. And I think we're in a place that's been very productive. But again, seeing those glimmers of we just need to shut this place down, we just need to say no, are frightening to me. And I am leaving the legislature, so it won't be my problem to deal with, at least for the next couple of years. But I really am proud of the work we've been able to do, and I know our state will be proud of the work that we have done. So I'm hoping that that will continue. So that is the power that all of you have as voters to keep that process alive, and make sure you send people to Augusta who are pragmatic and want to move the state forward. So with that, I will I think I can answer one or two questions, and then I will pass it off to my mother, who I know will have far more exciting stories from Washington to tell you. Great, no questions. All right, well, thank you all very much, and you've already heard the introduction of my mom. I am so proud of her and the work she's doing. She is on a 2-week break and has been all over the state, had an exciting week last week with the president, and so I pass it off to my mom, and thank you all again for having me.